Good afternoon. My name is Claire Penketh. I'm from BCS, the Chartered Institute for IT, which is the professional body for IT. Just before we start this panel, here's a statistic to consider. There's around 1 woman in tech careers to every 5 men. The Pivoting to Digital Work task force, who have organised this panel, was set up to bring together employers, government and third sector organisations to tackle the shortage of digital talent and also to improve diversity. The task force focuses on an often overlooked group, mid-career women ready to change direction. Many already have transferable skills in their existing roles, yet they don't see themselves as tech people, and employers often overlook them. The goal of the task force is to help businesses bridge the digital skills gap by highlighting such untapped talent. Seeing other women who have made the leap from non-technical careers to digital makes pivoting appear real and achievable. This is why the task force launched its Turn to Tech campaign, showcasing the stories of women who have made this switch. And that brings us to today's panel, where we have 2 brilliant women with us who each took an unconventional route into tech. Please join me in welcoming Claire Penketh and Raven Reynolds. So let's start off with both of you telling us a little bit of background about yourselves. So let's go to Raven first.
Thank you for having me. I'm Raven. I have been living in the UK for just over 10 years now. I was a career hairstylist living out of Los Angeles, which is where I moved from. And I got married at one point and moved here. I had 2 daughters, and in that time, I fell out of love with hairdressing and felt a bit lost at one point and kind of lost my identity and decided I would take a boot camp at Makers Academy and retrain to be a software engineer. It was probably the scariest thing I think I've ever done, but I did that. So now I'm a developer at BCB Group. I'm a full stack engineer. I started as a junior and now I'm mid-level.
Claire?
Hi, my name is Claire. Similar story to Raven. I used to be a fashion designer. I was a menswear designer at Burberry, a Wall, some other brands in Canada as well. Moved here about 10 years ago to train in fashion, was working in fashion, and yeah, similarly sort of like fell out of love with fashion. So cost of living in London is really expensive, and in a design career, it's quite difficult to get going. So similarly also did a career transition through sitting at Makers. Can't say enough good things about those folks. And first job was at Just Eat as a front-end engineer, and now I'm a full stack developer at Spotify.
Now, when we were having a chat before, because we had a run through, you said you were scared of computers.
Yes, yeah.
So tell me more.
Yeah, my boyfriend and I always joke about the fact that I'm in tech now because it's like a known thing that I'm quite scared of computers. I was never into tech or anything. I thought coding was quite scary. I didn't have like those sort of courses offered to me in high school. But I really like puzzles, and actually coding is a lot more. I think the daunting part about tech can be all the technical aspects, like all the terminology and reading all these documents. And the part I find interesting is like the puzzle aspects. It's actually more like a language, and you're trying to figure out like context clues and solving this. Like I described it as like a 5D Sudoku puzzle. So if you find reading text documentation really daunting, don't worry. There's like lots of tools to circumvent that now, and it's not really that big a part of my daily life, to be honest.
Have you overcome your fear of computers?
I think so. Yeah, just exposure therapy. This is the best.
It's funny, I was talking to a lady earlier on, and she was saying that she was like afraid of how she could use computers. It made it was quite daunting to her. So it is a thing, and I think particularly with women it's a thing, isn't it? Because it sort of tend to think, well, I don't know what I'm doing. We don't have as much confidence about thinking ourselves. Turning to Raven, you came in via boot camps.
Yes.
Tell me more.
So I came in through a boot camp. It was a 3-month boot camp. It was very intense. It was a full-time boot camp. I was incredibly lucky. I got a government-funded space at Makers Academy, so all of my tuition was paid for by the government, and it was fun. And And it didn't really set me up to become a programmer, to be a coder, but it did give me the fundamentals of what my day-to-day was going to be like. So it was a little less scary when I actually did get my first role. My first role came out of Bakers, and I've been there ever since. I've grown with the company, and yeah, it's been fantastic.
So you felt quite unprepared initially, didn't you?
Yeah, I
Tell me
did.
more.
Again, I didn't know how to code. I'm 3.5 years into my career, and I still am learning every single day. I still need lots of help from my seniors, from my manager, from my other developers who are even on my own level. It is an ever-growing role, and you have to just be open to learning every day. I still have senior developers that I look at that have no idea what they're doing with certain tickets, and it's so refreshing. It makes me feel like I'm actually growing and I'm still like on the right path. But yes, when I came out of boot camp, I didn't feel like I was prepared to go into a role as a developer, but I think they kind of knew that, right? I think that they knew like there's no amount of like I could be in the boot camp for a year and I'd still feel unprepared when I go into the job, into the force, right? It is that exposure, it's being in it, it's getting your hands dirty and asking questions and pair program. It's working with your colleagues to feel comfortable.
How important is mentoring in that situation?
Incredibly important, absolutely. To be able to feel like well, Claire, you said at one point, it's like learning a language, isn't it? And I've always said the same thing. It's like being in a room with people who are learning French or all speak French, like you're going to pick it up a bit better as opposed to like being at home and trying to teach yourself French on Duolingo and it's not quite picking up, right? It's not hitting. So a mentor is kind of like that, like they're speaking the same language as you and you can go to them with any of your problems, whether it's personal problems or an actual coding problem. They're going to kind of help push you and elevate you. So yeah, I think mentorship is incredible.
So both of you came to your tech careers sort of mid-career in your previous lives. Would you have gone into tech earlier if you'd have been taught it at school? Or it's a question for both of you.
I don't know if I would have. I actually think having like a creative background has made me maybe a more I think it's made me a better problem solver. It's probably made me a little bit more strong in tackling unknown problems, whereas a lot of folks who have more traditional backgrounds, they might only look one correct way to do something. So yeah, I think having like a more diverse background going into tech has been quite helpful. So I don't know if I would have.
I think maybe the same thing, if I'm honest. Like I kind of needed those formative years of just having a crazy career, not having anything too professional for a little while, something that was like wild for my wild years. And then now I like security, right? Like I like healthcare, that kind of stuff. Sorry. I like that kind of stuff. And I like being financially independent. So yeah, I probably wouldn't have necessarily gone in straight out of that, like out the gate. But yeah, I'm so glad I did it when I did it. Yeah.
Can you tell me about your experience about using visual YouTube? Both of you come from a visual background, you know, hairstylists and fashion. So obviously visual is very important to you. So how did that help you?
I think, yeah, back to what I mentioned about the documentation, I am not like a person that digests a lot of written information well. I do best by, looking at code, looking at somebody else's code, seeing what they see on their actual computer screen. So, reading, you have to take this in, but like, what do I actually see, right? What shows that I've done something wrong, what shows I've done something right? And having all these like YouTube videos that are completely for free, there's so many resources to learn without having to pay for a course now. I think it's really amazing.
Yeah, sorry, can you repeat the question?
Oh,
I was listening to her answer.
It's about the importance of using visual tools when you're learning technology and how important it was that to you. Because there's different styles of learning, isn't there?
Yeah, there is definitely. I'd say that, yeah, the visual tools like YouTube and everything else is really fantastic and made like Scratch.io. So I think I really thrived in the beginning of my role, starting off doing UI and front end work and being able to see what I'm putting into my terminal is then translating to something on the screen. And when you start doing that back end work, it doesn't really translate as well until you can learn to see it. Again, it's all learning. It's learning what to look out for. But with the UI, it's so easy to kind of look at. So the tools and stuff, Scratch.io, YouTube, like you're kind of following a lot of tutorials that kind of give you that confidence by doing something that's very visual.
Did you join forums as well?
I don't know if this counts, but I used to go to Code Bar a lot. This is another free organization. If you're learning to code, you can sign up as a mentee, and they'll pair you up with somebody who has at least like 1 or 2 years of professional experience, and you can pair program and work on a project together.
So just going back to the statistic that I rolled out earlier on, you know, women in tech, it's around 1 in 5. And that figure has been pretty consistent forever. If you think back to the years of Bletchley Park and all that in the 30s, it was predominantly women. These days, it's not. Now, as women, how have you found having a tech career? Is it comfortable? Are there other women in the room? How does it work for you two?
It's weird, right? Because we're sought after. So our CVs get picked up quite quickly. It's usually when you're in the interview process that your confidence kind of buckles down and you're not getting picked in the room of men. But also I have probably about 3 women that I work with. Like I don't have many women on my team. We are actively looking for more women. We are actively hiring for more women, and the 3 women in the team, including myself, are all very vocal about it. So I think that's really important, making sure that you're also vocal within the structure of your company and saying it's really important for me to be able to see representation, especially outside of that junior level. Like I want to see more senior, more team leads that are women. And hoping you have a good company that you work for that takes that on board, which I do. So we're like now in the interview process, and I've been very lucky to be in the interview process and to be able to interview some women and kind of push that forward for us. But it is really difficult. It's really hard being in a room of men, and no offense, men, sorry. It is really difficult being in a room of men and being the only woman, and sometimes you get kind of talked over, right? It's very, very frequent. It does happen.
And how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that?
I'm a little sassy. I don't know, I'm a little sassy. I kind of just give it back to them, really. I kind of joke sometimes that that's personality hire, but that was always I didn't know what I was doing at first, but now I know what I'm doing, so I'm a bit more of a threat. And you know, I work for a great company. I work for a great team. They're all lovely. They do listen. They do kind of, once you kind of tell them, listen, you're not hearing me, they'll kind of change. You know, they'll stop and they'll slow down and they'll say, I'm sorry I didn't listen to you, or you felt like that, and they'll change their mentality for the most part. I think it's just being open and saying, I'm feeling this right now. It's been working.
Claire?
I think you bring up a good point about the interviewing, that a lot of people end up buckling under the interview. Your CV gets picked up, you get that first interview, but maybe you're not as fluid with like how you would actually want to speak about yourself. And we're speaking about this during the pre-interview, but this is like more than a women in tech problem. This is like a socialization of little girls versus little boys problem, where little girls are often socialized to, you know, you have to read the room, you have to follow all the rules, you have to be nice to everybody. Whereas little boys, if they make a mess, they make mistakes, it's like boys being boys. And this, you know, has downstream effects of women feeling like I have to know exactly perfectly what I'm going to say before I say it. And that really does impact the way that you interview. Sometimes I like to, before preparing for interviews, just think like, what would I just make up like this imaginary man, Greg, say? It's like, yeah, what would Greg say? Greg would speak about me like this. Great.
So, Raven, you have children.
I do.
So how is the work-life balance for you in tech?
This has been the best choice for my family, my career, my life. The work-life balance is amazing. I have my 9 to 5. I shut my laptop at the end of the day. The company I work for is very flexible. I work from home. I can do school drop-offs, pickups. I never have to miss a parent's evening. I never have to miss, I don't know, a fundraiser. I also get 1 volunteer day a year, so I get to do a volunteer day at school and hang out with the kids. So it's been the best choice for me. I recently went through a divorce, so it's also been the best choice, because not only do I have my children 50% of the time and I get to spend that with them, and my work is very understanding of that. I also am financially independent and can provide for them without having any kind of struggles or stresses. And I'm really lucky for that.
You work full or part-time?
I'm full-time. Yeah, full-time, 9 to 5. Love it.
So Claire, for you, you're not a mum yet, but how do you find a work-life balance?
Similarly, best work-life balance I've ever experienced, especially coming from a creative background, the work-life balance is just not there. So this has been great. And like, my family background is like, there's some financial instability in our family history. So I just really wanted to, create that stability for myself and not feel that like ambient stress all the time. I think that's been a really good choice. And there's a lot of companies out there that do offer like flexible hours, just eat. I was on a 4-day work week, compressed hours. So you just do longer days for the 4 days and you get Friday off, for example. That was really great. I think that's more common with your job where you can do it at a computer at your own time.
So this is a question again during our pre-chat, which I posed, and I thought you were going to get, yes, it's fantastic. So here's the question. How exciting do you find technology?
Oh, do you want me to do that one? It's not. I was a career hairstylist. I was working for platform artists. I was flying around the world and I was going to hair shows and stuff. It was incredible. And that was exciting, right? It was party lifestyle. This is very much, I don't, in the nicest way possible, I don't care what industry I work in. I don't really care what company I work for, as long as they respect me, I respect them, I have great work-life balance, I get paid a decent salary, I can maintain the lifestyle for my children that I want to maintain. And then at the end of the day, I don't have to take my work home. Like you're saying, those creative industries, working in hairstyling, I was working 7 days a week, all hours at night, depending on what you're doing, which was fun while it lasted. But again, I want to make sure my Netflix account stays on now. So, and my kids' Robux goes into their account. So it's very mundane. It's not very exciting sometimes, but it does hit so many things that I had from hairstyling, which was the creativity. Like I love that, the problem solving, love all of that. Those were the things that I got out of hairstyling that I thought I wasn't going to get anywhere else. And I do get it in that. So even though I don't mind the industry that I work for and I don't mind the company that I work for, I still get a lot of satisfaction out of my job at the end of the day. When I do close that laptop, I don't have to take anything away from it, but I do know that I have that satisfaction at the end of the day. Like I've done a great job.
I think also the way that tech tasks are organized, they're like very small, biteable chunks. Like if you're bored, taking off a ticket. In a lot of fields, you don't really get that. You get like long spanning projects and continual people. These projects just go on forever. But with tech, you take a ticket, you take a couple of tickets, and finish off your tickets for the day, and you close your computer and you don't think about it. So I think that's been a really significant improvement, like for my personal mental health, my well-being. So
it's going back to the pay as well. I mean, it's better. We do a diversity report each year at BCS Chartered Institute for IT. We've got one coming out soon. I'm just looking at how much you get paid as a woman compared to other industries. It's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, as a software engineer, yes. And then also, I think it just depends on the sector that you're in. I'm in finance, so I'm one of the top paid junior. I'm the top paid junior developer that came out of Makers, my cohort. Still one of the top paid mid-level developers for the country.
So that's a good point.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say similarly, it's probably dependent on industry and company. So if you were working in tech in like a creative company, maybe the salaries will be less versus finance. So it's a lot.
Which again is why I don't care where I work. As long as I'm getting paid.
But then it's good to have that flexibility, isn't it? Because obviously you've got skills that are in demand.
Yeah.
And as a woman, what you're saying, you're even more in demand, which is brilliant.
Yep. You kind of have your choice.
Yeah, that's a great place to be. What would be your top tips to any women thinking of pivoting into a career in tech?
I think there's a lot of noise going on at the moment talking about, for example, tech is a very male-oriented industry, or like AI is going to take over jobs. I think if you're just learning how to code initially, that you just have to block that out. It's like absolutely a distraction, and you just have to put your head down, get the skills, and be undeniably good. And you can. This is the industry where years of seniority doesn't really matter because it's always changing so much. So do you have the most up-to-date skills? Are you good at those up-to-date skills? Great, then you're hireable. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was kind of saying earlier, the language thing, like it can be really scary, it can be very daunting. Finding community is really a great way to do that. I think that, yeah, find other people to talk about, get a mentor.
So what are the, I was at the Women in Tech conference recently, and we were talking about icons and how important it is to have icons, you know, women you can look up to. And somebody else said, yes, but sometimes those icons can be like quite sort of distant, and you think, how could I be as, you know, amazing as that woman? How important then are icons? I feel, have you got any icons yourselves?
I don't have an icon. No, I have an idea of what I want my life to be like, and that's what I'm striving towards.
What's that?
Successful in my own. I'd like to make a little bit more money. I don't want to be too greedy. I'd like to be a team lead at some point. I don't really want to be a CTO. I don't have that ambition. Again, I like my work-life balance, and I feel like if I go too much further past the team lead, I'm not going to have that any longer. So I'd like to make, you know, a certain number, and I'd like to be a team lead. And at that point, I think I'll probably just kind of flatline. Yeah, that's it. Not flatline. No flatline. That's the wrong word. You know, just coast on that.
What about the fast-moving nature of technology? Does it keep you engaged? Because both of you have quite exciting careers, and you're saying technology is not that exciting, but learning new stuff. You know, let's have a look at AI. What do you think about AI? Are you worried it's going to take your job?
I use AI all the time, every day. Like Spotify, encourages us to, and I think it's given me more exposure and more reviews on my code than I would have gotten comparatively to like 5 years of experience. Right? I just get instantaneous feedback from this language model that has the experience of, like, you know, a senior engineer who's sometimes wrong, but that's also very human.
Yeah.
And humans can be wrong as well. So yeah,
it's hallucinations, isn't it?
Yeah.
So for that, you need critical thinking, you need experience. Do you worry that maybe people coming up behind you might not have that critical thinking and experience in order to know when AI is hallucinating?
I do think that there's going to be that problem, right? I think you have to really make sure you're not using it to its fullest extent, but also, listen, it's not the smartest thing you've ever tried in life, right? Like it does come up with the most obscure answers to a problem, and I think that's when you're forced to kind of look at it and be like, all right, we need to take a step back and try to make this kind of fun around. And that's when your critical thinking kind of comes in. But it is very easy to get lost in AI. It's very easy to stop thinking for yourself and let it just kind of take over. But in that sense, right? I think it's just how aware you want to be, right?
So we've got about 17 minutes left now. Are there any questions that people would like to ask? There must be.
Yeah.
Hello. Quite a few. Happy days. I'll just say that lady at the back.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay? Sorry, online. Thank you. So sorry, hi Ruben, and Claire. Claire again. So yes, my question, you alluded to a certain point of flexibility as you grow into the tech career. Just wanted you to expand a little bit more on that. After team lead, does it become not flexible? I just wanted some clarity around that.
It definitely does become more high demanding, the role itself. After like a team lead, I don't know what your company's like, but after team lead at our company, it's just the CTO. And they're on call all day, every day. If the site goes down, if anything goes down, to the first point of call, because then we're losing revenue. You know, all of that kind of stuff is then your responsibility, and that I never want that responsibility. Like I don't want to worry about if our security is breached, you know, I'll help, but I don't want to be called on a Saturday because something's gone down. That's just not on the cards for me. I like my flexibility. I like, I don't know, maybe at some point I'll change my mind. Maybe I get to a team lead and I think I'm still not being challenged. I have a little bit more gusto in me and I really want to be challenged, but also I like a nice soft life, so I don't really love challenges. That's me.
Gentleman here.
Thank you. You mentioned earlier at the start that for every 5 people in tech, there's only 1 woman. My question is twofold. Do you think the reason for that is because just generally men are more interested in technical things, and that's the reason? Or is there something behind that because it's known there are more men in tech? Women maybe look at that and think, I don't want to go into a male-dominated industry.
I think on the second part of your question, you know, as you're going through the interview process of applying for a company, you will get the vibe of that company and see if you fit. I've had the experience of interviewing multiple rounds and meeting like 10 plus engineers at a specific company, and I've only met men. And it's not that, you know, it wasn't like a nice team or anything, but I think an all-male team, unless they like really actively work towards making their culture a little bit more inclusive, it could give off the vibe of like it's a mutual process of interviewing, right? So like I actually don't feel like I would enjoy this team that very much.
I'd say the first part of your question is kind of loaded. It's down to a little bit of human behavior. I've got 2 daughters who have no interest in tech at all. The extent of their tech is playing Roblox on their iPad. They know what I do, they see what I do, they don't care. They don't want to build anything, they don't want to play Legos, they don't want to like play Scratch.io. They just want to like, I don't know, play Dress to Impress and, you know, get dolled up. And that's just them. I've got friends who have boys who are very much into building and want to hear everything that I do with my work. When they tell them, they're like so interested. And I think it's just human behavior, but it is also kind of what you were saying, how we do push boys and girls differently over time. But again, that's what I mean, it's loaded. Like it's innate within my daughters to not care about it, but also as a society, we push the boys to kind of do a little bit more like that and the girls to go a bit more like this, right? Which is why I was a hairdresser for many years, because I grew up being told be a receptionist or be a hairdresser. It's like, well, I guess I'll do the hairdressing. And then I realized, you know what, I was having a really great time on MySpace playing with HTML. Like, let's go ahead and look at that. I went into tech. So yeah, I think it's a little loaded, but you know, it's there's not a right answer to it.
I think it's cultural as well. If you look at other countries, so I was talking to somebody recently he was working in China. He was saying 70% of his team are women at a senior level. And you see similar things in India too, and Russia. But for some reason in the West, there is this, I think, this idea about what careers are for girls and what careers are for boys. And it's something that at BCS, we are the professional body, like I say, we do a lot of things around education. It's like, what can we do to get more girls interested in technology? And it's really hard. It's like, what makes girls want to go to that kind of career? It's how you apply it quite often, how it's relevant to their lives, which is what we're finding out, because you've gone to it as relevant to your life and your lifestyle, and then others might see it as a way that they can follow their particular dreams using technology as something that enables them to do that. Say if they want to go into web design, so they could do a website that would help them promote some campaigns, for instance, that sort of stuff. So traditionally with the GCSE, it has been incredibly dull to learn at school for girls. It's just straight coding. It's something like 96% of girls give up technology or the GCSE at 14, and they don't go for it. So we were really pleased recently that the government, with its school and curriculum review, is now saying, okay, how can we change this? Let's have a broader suite of digital skills which are more applicable and more relevant to people's lives, as opposed to purely learning something that's quite mathematical, what coding is. And we're hoping that that can get more girls in. Now you say, is it cultural, is it just a sort of boy-girl thing? I do a lot of work with the Royal Academy of Engineers. When I say we're around 20%, which is where the figure's been hovering for women for the past several years now, they go, blimey, you're lucky, we've only got 15 to 60% women. So it's one of those things that it's sort of, the perception is those are jobs for girls and those are jobs for boys, but we need to get rid of that. And the reason we need to get rid of that is because if you have more diverse people coming into technology, that means you have more diverse tools and services and products, and they're relevant to everybody as opposed to just being relevant to 80%, the 80% that already work in technology who happen to be blokes. Sorry, that sounded like a bit of a laugh. Okay. So,
Thank you. Very interesting so far, so thank you for sharing your thoughts. How receptive are companies to what might be perceived as a non-traditional route into tech? So more of a career changer, not straight from university graduate type approach.
I think it totally depends on the company. Justy is like famously very, very open about that career transition. I personally know of like many, many different colleagues from my past work where somebody used to be a writer at Condé Nast, career switch, and they had like career switch programs. So those who finish a degree that is not directly related to computer science, they can become like a trainee and work for a year. They usually end up skipping junior level altogether and skipping straight to mid-level after finishing this program. So yeah, I think everyone's super open. I think it depends on the company though.
Yeah, definitely. Our company hired about 10 of us from Makers. They were in a partnership with Makers, so they knew what they were getting. They knew the quality of the candidates they were getting. We still had to interview like anyone else. But especially coming out of a boot camp, it was quite easy for me to get a role with the partnerships program. So I found that there's a lot of companies that are really open to it. They're getting work for a lot cheaper, aren't they? And I mean, when they're training you, you're kind of vulnerable, so you're going to kind of stay for a while here. So I think they kind of know that.
How easy was it to find the training?
Oh God, the training from like when I started at BCB, it was incredibly difficult at first. I felt like it was maybe me, like I'm not going to get this. What have I done? And then I think once I started talking to my management about that and explaining that to them, they were much more understanding and open and kind and helpful and broke a lot of stuff down for me. Even just getting signed on to like work or however you get in, it was just daunting. But I'd also not been in a role like that in a very long time. I spent about 7 years having children and not working. And then, before that, there was nothing like that.
And how, I was thinking more specifically about the actual training itself as well, because it can be quite confusing, can't it? It's like how do you find, how did you find out about the boot camps, and how did you think this is the thing for me? What was it that attracted you to that route, that unconventional route in life?
I had friends. I'd been speaking about it for years since I moved here. I had a male friend who was a developer, and I kind of asked him about what he did. And when I realized what he was doing, I asked him how, like, best route. He had a computer science degree, and I knew from the start that was never going to be something that I was going to be able to do or financially do, right? And he was the one that mentioned either going to Makers or there's another one I can't remember what it's called. And after that, I kind of kept my radar on it, and it was never quite the right time for me to do it. And once I decided to bite the bullet, do it, I realized the government was giving away a grant for up-leveling and upskilling. Upskilling.
And what about yourself, Claire?
Yeah, I never thought about coding as a career, and then I was just thinking, what can I do after fashion? I have like a couple of friends who are developers similarly. Just talking about them about their daily jobs. Started teaching myself Python and thought it was really fun. So that was like, I think, a good indicator that this is maybe something I can do professionally. And then finding out about Makers, I had researched a couple of different boot camps. One was very expensive, but it was like very well known. I think, especially like in North American circles.
I can't remember the name. That's it. Yeah.
They were famous for like, oh, we make you work mid-levels for right away. But I think the course fee was like something ridiculous, like 10,000 plus, so that was not doable. I researched another free boot camp, went to an info session with them, did a trial session with them, and it was basically like peer teaching. And I didn't really think that mode was like the right thing for me. And then I went to like one of Maker's final project previews, and I thought, yeah, the vibe there was really good. I thought I was really touched by like the way that all the cohort teams were like very involved with each other. I thought that was really nice, and the projects were really good. So
yeah.
There should be more sort of publicity around these sort of courses, and for them to attract more women and be targeted at women, or just people in general.
I don't know. I think because of AI, paying for a boot camp, I wouldn't do it. So I didn't pay for mine, thankfully. But yeah, I wouldn't pay for a program like that. I think there's a lot of government fund programs, and if you can go through those routes.
100%. And just go back to this lady here. Are you thinking about going into?
So I currently work in finance, and I've been speaking to people here today, and yeah, it seems like something that could be an interesting transition. So
Does that answer your questions as to how to get in?
yes, and also that it's people maybe more receptive than you think they might be to mid-career non-traditional route.
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm not using my phone. I was just going to say, what does your average day look like in terms of what you actually, your tasks and what you do? It's quite an interesting, very different from what I've done in my career. So I'm just really interested to see how that kind of looks.
You want to go?
Yeah, sure. So I'm working on this product that Spotify is just coming out with right now. It's called Portal. It's their internal developer platform. So it's basically like all the stuff that you have to do. You have to manage all these different services. How do you see them all in one place? How do you see the health of them all in one place? It's like kind of a new product area. So because we're kind of, fleshing it out and developing it out with users, my job is mainly focused on that. So I'll take a ticket, and it might be like, users should be able to search their recent runs of some action, right? So I'll work on that for the day and coordinate a lot with the product designers, the product people, and then other engineers on getting the feature through.
Yeah, I'd say my days are varied. I have days where I have lots of meetings, and that will be kind of refining tickets with our BAs and our other team, or it'll be interviewing. And then I have days where I just have a full day of coding, and I can really just like hone in on it. Right now, I'm not doing any massive projects. I am doing a lot of BAU and cleaning up, just to kind of wind down. I have a lot of holiday books, so they like push me out. They're like, right, no projects until the new year. But I just finished. Again, I work in finance, so I've just finished a massive project working with our compliance team to make sure that all the transactions are monitored and that kind of thing through and through. Yeah. But yeah, I'd say it varies. It varies a lot. Sometimes I have meetings, and again, with the flexibility of my job, I take a lot of my meetings on the road. So I'll be on my phone running to do school pickup and listening to the entire call that way.
Gosh, okay, we've got a few minutes. Let's see. Lady,
I could talk loud.
if we have two
American, yes.
two questions at the same time. I know. If you have two questions at the same time. So
I'm interested in what you talk about, the government funded. I have a degree in computer operations management from 1990 something. Okay. I have a big career gap. I did other stuff. If I wanted to, I have a foundation in tech, although it's very old. When you talk about government projects, like do a boot camp, what would you advise for someone that has a programmer's brain, but not the new language?
I would still say do it.
What government funded? You said don't go through boot camps. What's the government funding options?
So it's on gov.uk. I think it's called like skilled workers grants or something like that. You just kind of have to search it. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it is on gov.uk. And they give you a list of boot camps and a list of universities that they will pay for you to attend. You just have to apply and be accepted to the course. I chose Makers. It was a hybrid boot camp. So we went in every now and then, we stayed back, and I think it was about $9,000 for the course. The whole cohort was paid for by the. Yeah.
I think the boot camps themselves sometimes offer their own internal scholarships. That's what I did with Makers. There's also another free one called Northern Coders or something like that. But I would say my information might be like 3 years back. So yeah, like a Google today might be more accurate.
I would also say, not to keep plugging Makers, but if you are looking for one, try and find one that does have a partnership program afterwards, because that's where I really lucked out getting my role, with the partnerships program, where they kind of put you with roles. You have to apply with other people in your cohort and previous cohort, so it is quite competitive. That was the value in it.
you could also join BCS, a Chartered Institute for IT, quick plug there. You can do professional certifications. You can start off with that.
Hi, I have an undergrad in science and then a background in science.
I'm sorry, it's
I
obtained.
did.
Ah.
No.
You guys are looking at me funny.
Oh,
You should
no,
say
no.
that.
No, let's go to that lady. She's got the microphone.
I'm so sorry.
No, I did. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. It's been really interesting. I wanted to ask, I come from a creative background too, but I don't have a very mathematical brain. So what kind of opportunities in tech are you aware of that are for people who want to get into tech, but maybe don't want to go into the side of coding?
Testing.
Product.
Yeah,
Product. Yeah, product design, products in general. If you like business, maybe the product management side. Otherwise, product design, huge area.
Like, who's doing that? Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Definitely.
It's definitely.
Oh, wow, that's good.
I just spoke to you.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I have a background in science and a degree in science. How valuable do you think a conversion course into computer science at MSc level would be within the industry?
I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
I'm very, very non-traditional, so.
Yeah, I would say depends on what kind of company you want to go into. Spotify, like as I mentioned, very, very open people from all backgrounds. Spotify's been more traditional. And every time I've spoken to people I've met like very recently about my background, they're like, what are you doing here? Not actually, but that's sort of the reaction that I've gotten. So you can definitely still break into those spaces without the degrees and the paper, but it's going to be harder. You might have to work more. You might have to like really up level interviewing skills and just be like, yeah, undeniable. Yeah.
I would check out MSc conversion courses into AI. Yeah, there was a program that was running. I don't know where it is now. But if you want to give me your email address, I'll investigate.
Thank you.
And two more. Three. And then we're going to run out of time, aren't we?
Hi panel, thank you so much for your talk. I actually wanted to ask you about your reasons for maybe choosing sort of a non-design career within tech and ended up going more into the technical side of it. I know you've discussed about you gaining skills on Makers Bootcamp that you did, but curious because I kind of would have assumed that it would have been very good complementary segue into tech.
So I think I'll speak in general for like a lot of design industries that me and my friends have gone into. I think design in general, and I think creative in general, especially if you're working for someone, you're kind of at the mercy of somebody else telling you, hey, you spent all this work, but the inspirations change, so we have to scrap it all, like redo it. I think that's kind of inescapable. I think also the amount of time that I spend coding is very one-to-one to the output. Like if I spend an hour or 2 hours on a ticket, it's gonna get done. Versus for design, I could spend like a week on something and it just not come out very good, or like something really inspiring could hit me and I spend like 30 minutes on it and it's perfect. You don't really know with these things, and I tied a lot of value, like my self-value, to how good my design output was. So I think that part of it was a little bit tricky. I knew I didn't want to do design professionally because of that. Yeah.
And finally,
So firstly, thank you for all the speakers. I think it gave me a lot of inspirations and insight in terms of like how tech work. Because for my backgrounds, I'm working in group IT, but I'm working on a side that is non-tech background. But I think it's quite inspiring in terms of that there's a potential for me maybe to make the transfer at some point. So I think a lot of my queries has been already answered, but there's a two that I would like to know. So first one is, after you got qualified from the boot camp, how easily for you to find the job afterwards? And when you get the second question is, after you get the jobs and in their working environment, for their backgrounds, what is the frequency you have to get the new training or new qualification? Just depends on what you are doing.
It took me about 2 months to get my role, but again, I went through the boot camp, I went through the partnerships, and dedicated myself to that. It took me 2 months to get my role, and I don't feel like I've stopped training. Technically, I did. I had a year's worth of a contract, and they could have kept me on or let me go after like a year. But I still feel like every day I'm still training.
Yeah, I was looking, so I graduated my boot camp in 2023 or 2020, no, 2024, January 2024. I was looking at the job market then. And I think it was like known that it was like a very tough job market compared to previous years. I think 2022 was quite good. Coming out of boot camp and like, 2020, 2022 was a more like fruitful time. I personally looked for about 4 months. I've had people on my cohort who looked for 6+ months, a year, essentially had to retrain after a year. So it was quite hard. I don't think, which is why I say paying for a boot camp is probably not the way to go now, because you're not guaranteed a job as much as you were previously. So yeah, like not everyone's guaranteed a job. You just have to get your portfolio like really, really good and put all the hours that you can into it.
Yeah.
I think we run out of time. Have we got any more time? 5 minutes. Oh, we've got 5 minutes. Great, happy days. Right, okay. This is great, actually. It's really lovely to have such an interactive audience, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
I can do it without actually. Thanks for the great talk, really inspirational. I was just wondering, when you were doing the boot camp, like how much interaction was there within your cohort? And if you could speak to like the diversity of your cohort in terms of ages and backgrounds.
Yeah, my cohort was super diverse. I elected, you have the option, we're really not plugging makers. This is the only experience I can speak to, right? So it depends on the boot camp. Obviously, makers would give you the option to do remote versus in person. The in person you do about like half your time in person. So I think it was like 3 months in total, spent half the time in person. And yeah, my cohort's still really close. Like I get drinks with them really regularly. They're lovely. And a big part of makers is that you do big projects as a team, which is very reflective of what you would actually do as a developer when you're working, because you're never really unlikely going to be the only developer developing like a whole product by yourself. So yeah, really key skills there that I think a lot of computer science degree students might not have direct experience in this way. So yeah, so I'll look up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably do it without.
Hi. I come from a creative background too, and I think it's really inspiring to hear all the stories. But how did you find out this was the right career transition for you, coming from a completely different career? And what would you recommend that we try if we were interested, just to see whether we liked it and we could do it?
So every time people ask me this, I always say like a prepared speech for this. Do you like Sudoku? I think that's one of the markers.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, yeah.
I love Sudoku.
And then if so, try this. There's this course called 100 Days of Python. You can get it for free on YouTube. It's by App Brewery. The instructor's name is Angela Yu. I thought her way of teaching was really good. I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but I would say don't skip to the solution. Try. It says like 100 Days of Python. I honestly spent like 3 months on the first 30 days, right? But it's just to get your rudimentary programming skills up to par. And then try what's called Code Wars or something.
Code Wars, yeah.
Yeah, so Code Wars to get
Content.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Practicing your fundamentals on Code Wars, that's also completely free.
Mhm.
At that point, I applied to makers, and you do have to test it, and that's part of the preparation.
Yeah. I chased the money, so I never did anything prior to. I am also quite spiritual, so my psychic told me it'd be a really great idea for me to do it. And I just went right on. I'm here now. Yeah, that was it. It was one for. Yeah,
I quite like that. I love the
Yeah.
We all do.
Can I ask just one moment? Oh, sorry.
Really inspirational. I'm an architect. I've been exploring transition to tech for a while now, but not sure where to go. But you mentioned language Python there. Do you recommend one language over another to learn? I did start the Harvard CS50 course while I paused it because various things.
So I'm just wondering if you would suggest one over another that's more useful in the current climate.
I have taken that course as well. Yeah, it's okay. I would say it's really good at getting you kind of understanding what you're kind of getting yourself into. I don't think that you can choose one over the other. I think whichever one you choose is going to be great for you. I've been solely TypeScript and JavaScript my entire career, 3.5 years. I don't know what you're on.
Yeah, the TypeScript.
Yeah, and we have a lot of people that come in with Python, and we still hire them. It's quite easy to kind of transition between the two. Pick one up. Yeah.
I think Python's great because it's the most similar to like English. And so you don't have to think about, oh, I've forgotten to close a curly brace. All you're thinking about is like, have I the right number of tabs, which I think is really nice. Because what you want now is to learn the programming logic. Yeah. And then afterwards you can apply it to any language, kind of works the same, to be honest.
Okay.
Can I also say that jobs in technology covers so many different areas. It's just such a broad career, isn't it? And gaining digital skills of any level can help and enhance your career. I think we have finally come to the end of it. This has been an inspirational session, I think. Thank you so much to the panelists, to Claire and Raven. It's been great. Now, as I said at the beginning, this panel was organised by the task force of pivoting into technology. So if you want to talk to Gloria up there, then do feel free. She is the lady who can tell you all about it and give you advice as well about how to turn to tech and the pivot path, which is a good way of looking at it. And you can also, there's a QR code outside, isn't there? So if you go outside and just put your phone on the QR code, it'll help you find your path, hopefully. Maybe many of you will end up in their careers in technology. Thank you very much.
Thank you.